pronounced Henry, is that correct? And we are here today on a status hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and consent and agreement of the parties. And we are also live streaming. Ms. Taylor's making our record this morning. All right, we'll take everybody's announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Marissa Herrera is my permanency specialist, and I believe her supervisor, Luke Dyer, is also going to testify today on some stuff.
Okay.
Lori Lucero on behalf of the parents, Your Honor.
Stacey
Okay,
Zabala.
and
Henry.
sorry, Stacey. Okay, parents are not present. So before we launch into everything, has the department had or St. Francis had contact with them?
Your Honor, I have not. There was a barrier getting the WhatsApp application approved for download onto my phone. It has since been downloaded. However, last week we did make contact and set up a Teams call with a representative of the Guatemalan consulate. We were expecting them to be here this morning.
Okay, I brought everybody in from the waiting room, so I don't have anybody else out there. Okay, anybody else had contact with parents?
Somebody's logging in under Luke's name.
That's the consulate.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ricardo Giron. I'm the Vice Consul of the Guatemala Consulate here in Houston. I talked with the parents the day that I met Henry in the CPS shelter, but it was impossible to me contact the family yesterday. So I assume that they will be present today, but I see that it's not. But I'm here in representation of the interest of the Guatemalan mining. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And sir, would you tell me your name one more time?
Ricardo Giron.
All right, so I guess let's, I of course read the report. Let's just find out anything new from the department. And let me just ask, I mean, parents aren't present, so we're not going to need Ms. Sash to interpret. Ms. Sash, you're welcome to remain if you wish to, but certainly you're free to go ahead and go. I think this is the only case that we had this morning. Is that correct, Ms. Katie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Sash, you're free to go unless you want to hang around and hear what's going on and for any future hearing, but I'll let you make that choice. You're muted.
I'll stay for half an hour in the event that they show up or are having difficulty connecting.
Okay, that's probably very wise. So we'll just leave you in play for right now. Okay. So anything new since the court report was filed?
No, Your Honor, except for our visit with the Vice Consul. With regard to that, I believe Ricardo is able to, on an expedited basis, issue a passport for Henry if the court were to decide to issue a repatriation order for him today.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the big question, is how quickly can we get him home?
And so I would need to lean on Ricardo for that full answer. We would ask that a member of his office accompany Henry back to Guatemala before passing him off to his parents. As far as that's concerned, once we have an order, we can purchase plane tickets and coordinate with the consulate.
Okay, Mr. Hiron, what does that look like from your all standpoint? As far as, I mean, the child is placed in Houston, consulate's in Houston. So, just tell me what this looks like on your all's end.
Okay, yeah, I visited Henry. Sorry for my English, is not the best, but I'm trying to speak. I visited Henry. I think that 1 week ago, and I talked with him, and he really wants to go to Guatemala. In that case, I came to the consulate and talked with the parents because we cannot proceed with a repatriation of a minor without the consent of the parents. But in this case, both of the parents are agree that Henry is go back to Guatemala. In that reason, we have here a procedure. It's called that like a emergency passport. It's la pase de viaje. We can issue that document without the consent of the parents. We already informed to our authorities in Guatemala about this case. So the consulate in Guatemala, we are waiting of the decision in this hearing to proceed with the repatriation of Henry's to Guatemala. Like Luke say, we can coordinate together the issue of the emergency passport, and then just the logistic to get the tickets and go to Guatemala. Usually, one of the members of this consulate, I think that in this case it will be me. I'm traveling with Henry, and then in Guatemala, the Procuraduría General de la Nación, that is the institution on charge of the minors in Guatemala, will be interviewing Henry, and then the reunification with the parents.
Okay. All right, Ms. Taylor, did you think you got most of that?
Everything except the name of the agency that helps with the reunification.
It's in Spanish, es Procuraduría General de la Nación. I don't know how to translate it, but
I don't know. Ms. Sass, can you help us there?
I am not familiar with the word procuraduría. I'm sorry, it's in Spanish, so I interpret in Quiche.
Yeah.
Is something like that. The Attorney General of the nation is the institution, is the attorney of the state.
Okay. Okay. All right. Since we're not in a final hearing, I'm not too worried that we have that exactly right, but we all understand what we're talking about now. Okay. All right. So, Ms. Lucero, from your standpoint, and knowing that the parents want the child home, do you have any objection to me signing an order that would permit this quick repatriation of Henry to his parents?
Your Honor, the only concern I had is just that the prior, orders seemed like they wanted him to go back to that friend back in the other state. I'm sorry, I can't recall the state right now, like Virginia or something like that. That's what I was hoping to get in touch with them and just talk with them to make sure that this is what they wanted. But I just was hoping, I had reached out to the prior caseworker about contact information for the parents, and I would really like to speak to the parents myself before, but I know that decision's up to you today. So that's kind of where I'm at.
What, Mr. Huron, could you be of any assistance getting a Zoom or something, or, however you all want to do it, but with the parents, or even a phone call, and Ms. Lucero, who is their court-appointed attorney?
Yeah, Your Honor, if you want, I can try to contact via WhatsApp to the parents right now and put it in the hearing. In that case, you listen what they want to speak about the case. And regarding the person who is in Virginia, I think that is in Virginia. I talked with Henry, and he didn't know that person. Usually, there are persons that maybe the parents pay it to receive the child, but Henry is pretty sure that he wants to go to Guatemala. Mm-hmm. Even when he saw me and I explained it that we are doing our best to take him back to Guatemala, they give me a big hug and say that they don't want to stay more in United States. So I'm trying to contact right now to the parents, and maybe I can put it in the speaker if you access of that, Your Honor.
Let's try. We've got time. I'd be happy that Ms. Lucero, maybe then you and Ms. Sass and the parents could visit privately even.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, he stepped away. Let me just ask Mr. Dyer or Mr. Tratt, do you all do you have a draft or go by of this order?
That was going to be one of my questions, Your Honor. I've kind of looked, everything I have been finding has been federal law stuff, so I haven't found a template for that yet. But that was gonna be one of my questions, is,
So
Ms. Ferguson might be able to help with that.
yeah.
I've got a Word document up and I'm just like making one up if we want to just put stuff in there.
I don't know if there's any magical.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
don't know. I didn't know, and I chatted with Luke right before. I didn't know if maybe the consulate had a copy of one or a blank one that we could look at as I go by, but I was on check and see. And I'll get in touch with Ms. Ferguson also, and see if maybe they have one, but I've never seen one, and what I'm seeing right now is, I don't know that I'm gonna find one online about this.
And maybe he can give us the info of what they need it to say.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, you know, at the hearing, a record was made of the parents' desires for the child to be returned home, the child's desire to be returned to Guatemala, the Guatemalan consulate's agreement to transport the child. Court finds there's good cause and in the child's best interest for repatriation. I don't know. I was just making it up.
Sorry, Americo, the father is right now connected, Joan.
He's trying to connect to audio, it looks like. Can you hear me?
Kita, ¿escuchas kami?
Yo sí estoy escuchando bien.
Asla. Ya, kita, ¿escuchas kami?
Gracias.
Okay. They said thank you.
Okay. So I would like to put them in a breakout room. I'm concerned about just the logistics of that. Let me ask Ms. Lucero, are you comfortable just trying to speak with them here?
Yes, Your Honor. Really, what I just want to ask them if they're in agreement for their child to be returned to them. And then that way we'll all know, we'll all be on the same page. That's all I really wanted to ask.
Kita, ¿escuchas kami?
I think that the mother speak the language, the Mayan language. The father speak Spanish, so we can try in Spanish if you want.
Okay.
Sí,
¿Me
estamos de
escuchan?
acuerdo.
¿Están de acuerdo?
Sí, sí, estamos de acuerdo.
Bueno, okay. ¿Y Adnan shata hashim be pekiche? Okay, ya pekiche? ¿Y la esposa habla quiche o habla otro idioma?
I like Akchi.
Oh, okay, es totalmente diferente. Your Honor, so the father speaks Spanish, but the mother speaks a totally different language than what this interpreter speaks. She speaks Quechua.
Okay,
That was the
we
issue.
have encountered that before. Okay. But he could certainly,
He's understanding Spanish.
okay. Has he given you a response then?
He
to
says,
whether they-
yes, Your Honor, he says we are in agreement.
Okay. All right. So they want Henry home.
Para asegurar, entonces ustedes quieren que se le regrese a Henry a su casa.
Sí, así es.
Yes, that's true. That's correct.
All right. Then if you would tell them that's what we're here to discuss today.
Sí, pues.
Of course.
So, Ms. Lucero, are you satisfied?
Your Honor, I'm satisfied. I heard him respond in Spanish and I'm satisfied that that's what they want.
Okay. So Ms. Zavala, what's your position?
I've talked to Henry several times. He absolutely wants to go home and as fast as possible.
Okay, hang on, let her catch us.
Your Honor, there's an issue. I am not a Spanish certified court interpreter. Is that going to be an issue?
No,
It's okay. Okay, you're okay with you.
it's
Okay.
fine. Segment.
Okay, I do believe going home would be in his best interest. And he reports that it is a safe home to go back to.
Yes, seguro.
Yes, it's safe.
All right, so Ms. Ferguson has responded to me and she is going to track down the ones they have done before and send that to me.
Your Honor, track down, what was that?
The appropriate court order that I need to sign on. I have personally never had this issue come up. So I'm not familiar with that order, but there's another attorney that I've reached out to that has. I just want to make sure we have all the language that the consulate needs. So when we get this and we get it to you, if there's something else that you need, please let us know. Okay. Then I will be delighted to sign that order and let Mr. Huron get the passport issued and accompany the child back to Guatemala to return him to his parents.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
And we'll try to make that happen as quickly as possible. So if there's anything else, Mr. Huron, that you need from us, please just let Mr. Dyer know. Until that happens, then I will continue the department as the temporary managing conservator of the minor child. And I doubt we'll need it, but we do have another hearing scheduled for January 30th of 2024.
So
9 o'clock. But I just don't have any idea how long this takes. Mr. Huron, can you give us any kind of ballpark idea?
Idea of what about the process to issue the travel document, because the travel document I can issue in 1 day. So I need only the tickets, the itinerary to put it in the document. But first, I need to coordinate with my authorities in Guatemala, because the family of Henry lives too far away from the city to the airport. So we need to coordinate that one institution take them and take it to the city, and then the Attorney General Nation, it will be present at the reception of the minor. They do a short interview and then get Henry to the parents. So the issuing of the document here in the consulate is only take one day or maybe 20 minutes. I will stay in contact with Luke to coordinate to buy the tickets and to see a good date, to make the repatriation. I hope that it will be no longer than 1 week.
Okay, that's all great. So we'll try to make things happen as fast on our end. All right, I appreciate everybody. Mr. Huron, thank you for appearing this morning.
Your Honor, if I may interrupt for just a bit, if Mr. Dyer will just kind of keep me in the loop as to where the process is, and I'll reach out to him to maybe get Mr. Huron's phone number or email address. So possibly I could kind of keep in contact with the parents. And he just sent that to me, Your Honor. Thank you.
Y me acaba de enviarlo, gracias.
All right, Ms. Sass, thank you so much for your help today. I appreciate it. And we hope to get Henry home soon. Permanency hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're also live streaming. Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Kim Flanagan is my permanency specialist. We're present, radio.
Jeff Hill on behalf of the mother, Alexander Knight. Judge, don't see her here. I was expecting her. I did visit with her Thursday or Friday of last week and gave her the login information. So I'm not sure where she's at, but
I'll watch the waiting room.
thank you.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Ryder.
All right, what do we have news since the court report was filed?
No, Alex is in rehab in Plainview at Serenity, and she's working through that. She went on last Friday, not just this past Friday, last Friday. So she's doing that. Ryder is doing good. We're trying to get the dad to begin his services. So that's where we're at.
Mother had worked some services, though, hasn't she?
Yes, ma'am. She has worked some services. She's completed her parenting classes, and she has one more counseling session.
All right, and she was compliant with her medication, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and drug tests have been negative?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, now, were she and father living together after he was released from jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and is he still at that residence?
Yes, he is.
Are you having contact with him?
Yes, ma'am. I contact and speak with him at least once a week since I've
Right.
been on this case. Yes, ma'am.
All right, what is, as far as the home where they live, is it appropriate for the child?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. All right, is he indicating that he's going to get started on his services?
Yes, he started a job and he's telling me that his work is conflicting, but I did stress to him that he needed to start on his services, and he did tell me he is going to start on his services. He has an OSAR tomorrow morning, so I'm encouraging him to make sure he makes that appointment.
Okay. Mr. Hill, anything to report?
No, ma'am, nothing that Ms. Flanagan has not stated, no.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala?
Got to visit Ryder the other day. He's doing great, awfully cute. No concerns about placement. I'm glad to hear that parents are working services.
Okay. Had mom been visiting? Are we able to do visits?
Yes, ma'am. She is able to visit. She visits on Wednesdays in the afternoon, and we provide transportation for her to come visit with Ryder.
Will she be able to continue that while she's at Serenity?
Yes, matter of fact, she had her first visit from Serenity last week. So yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue the child's placement. I'll find that there would be a continuing danger to return the child home at this point in time. Parents are recently engaged in services, and we've got a ways to go for them to demonstrate that kind of stability, but at least it sounds like we're headed in the right direction. So our next hearing is scheduled for January 23rd of 2024. So we'll go ahead and take everyone's announcement. That's on a 9 o'clock docket.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present and ready, Your Honor, and we did file a motion to dismiss yesterday that we would need to take up before we started the hearing.
Henry Araujo for the father, Alan Olivares, we're both present and ready.
Stacey Grant for the mother, Samantha Medina. I'm present and ready, and I'm looking to see if my client is present, Your Honor.
She is.
Yes, she is. Thank you.
Stacey Zavala on behalf of Alexi.
Chanel Garrett for Casa.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mr. Trout.
Yes, Your Honor. Department filed a motion to dismiss yesterday. The child is back home with the father. Prior orders had father from, I believe it was 2016, had father as sole managing of the child, with mom being possessor and mom paying child support. We were just asking to dismiss and have the prior orders stand in place. Father and child have been reunited and everything's been going well.
Okay. Ms. Grant, are you in agreement with that?
Your Honor, the mother and I discussed this yesterday late, and she is not in agreement to a dismissal, as she feels that dismissal puts the child back in the exact same position as the child was in when she was removed. The father still has no automobile. The father still has no home of his own. The mother has filed a relinquishment in this case because the child was not reunited with the mother. In fact, the relationship with the mother was worsened during this case, not improved. And it's the mother's position that she should be allowed to execute her relinquishment. The father should not be allowed to benefit from her continuing to pay child support, as he did not complete the requested services in the case.
Okay, so Mr. Trout, any response to that? I know that she'd executed her relinquishment.
Yes, ma'am. In Your Honor, it is our position that it's not benefiting the father that mother pays child support on her child. It would be her child that is benefiting from that, which is the decision to dismiss and have it revert back to the prior orders.
And Your Honor, if it reverts back to the prior orders, then the mother's entitled to, request that the father put the child in counseling, that that the father engage in assisting the child in re-engaging in a relationship with the mother and her family. That's not the child's wishes in this case. I don't believe that they're recommending that that's in the child's best interest at this point. And so at this point, the mother's position as of yesterday is that she feels she's being held hostage by the dismissal to pay the child support without any of the services benefiting her and a relationship with the child. As again, this case has gone on for the entire length and has not resulted in any change to the position of the child. The father's still living does not have his own home, does not have his own automobile, doesn't do anything that was requested through the case in order to independently care for his child. He's still dependent upon his parents.
Okay, so let me ask, let's do this. Let me get everybody else's position and then we'll come back to this. So Ms. Naranjo.
Your Honor, my client's in agreement to the dismissal as to what Ms. Grant is alleging. Mr. Olivares has made every effort to ensure that his child has a safe placement with him. He is residing with his parents. That's obviously not been an issue for the department since the child's been reunited with him. Child's been doing extremely well with him. And as Mr. Trout also stated, child support is for the benefit of the child. It's not for the benefit of the parent, as well as if the mother has such an issue about the circumstances of Mr. Olivares, but she's still moving forward with her relinquishment, then I don't think his circumstances are really relevant to her.
That's correct, Judge. They're only relevant to her if she is not allowed to relinquish, which is what the dismissal is attempting to accomplish.
Okay, so, all right. Ms. Zavala, what is your position?
Your Honor, Mr. Olivares has been the ordered primary conservator since 2016. Even the prior orders were half and half. Mom was paying up until this case. She's gotten the entirety of this case as a break from that, is my understanding. I see no reason if the child is safely removed, safely placed back with father, and I've visited with her in the home and am satisfied about that reunification. All that putting in that relinquishment does at this point is hurt Alexi. She's entitled to that support. Mom really hasn't been involved previous to this CPS case. And to just simply cut off support to Alexi at this point is not in Alexi's best interest.
All right, and
I have visited in the home also. I've done unannounced and announced visits. I have not seen anything concerning. Alexi has never been happier. I think things are going very well with her place with her dad. And mom has done nothing. I mean, she's not worked any services or anything on this case. So, but I do believe that child support would be in the best interest in order to make sure Alexi has her needs met.
Okay. Couple of quick inquiries.
And Your Honor, I don't believe that the mother was required to work services in this case. So I'm not sure what services Costa is alleging she didn't work, since her service plan didn't require her to work anything. She relinquished very early on in this case. That was provided to the caseworker. It was held by the caseworker for a matter of a couple of months prior to being entered into the record of the case. It was executed at the same time that Mr. Olivares executed his relinquishment, which he later withdrew. And so both parents relinquished at the same time. But Mr. Olivares does not meet the requirement by he does not provide a safe and stable home for the child. His parents do. He does not provide a vehicle to transport the child. His parents do. He doesn't provide any of the items for the child. He depends on his parents to provide those. Should his parents pass away, God forbid, or something happen to his parents, this child is going to be left in limbo again. And this case is not resolved. Mr. Olivares is lacking as a parent.
So, all right, let me ask some questions then. Ms. Grissom, I'm going to direct this to you. Did Mr. Olivares complete his service plan?
Yes, he did. He completed all the services on his service plan.
Did we create and file a service plan for the mother?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How long ago was it that she executed her relinquishment?
I would have to look. It was earlier this year. I can look at that. I can pull that up if you need me to.
I know I've got a few notes going back, a few hearings where she had already relinquished, but this was not aggravated circumstances, so there was a service plan.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right.
Your Honor, I have the service plan if you want the dates on that. It looks like the affidavit of relinquishment for mom was verification was signed on November 30th of 2022. It was not sent to us and filed until March.
No. It was sent when it was executed in November.
It did not get filed until March 21st of 2023.
But it's been filed.
It was, yes, ma'am. It was filed in March.
Yeah, it was held 5 months prior to being filed, Judge. So for the mother to relinquish and then have to defend not doing services or have that as part of CASA or the ad litem's decision is not fair to the mother, as for 5 months that she's been waiting to be told in this case whether her relinquishment would be accepted or not. She's just been accumulating arrearages, and she's been unable to see the child, unable to do any further services because she relinquished. And when we met last time, we had a breakout room and we discussed this child support issue, and we knew this would be an issue today.
Okay, so I have a note, and maybe it's incorrect, but I had a note from a prior hearing where I said that her child support was directed to the grandparents. Is the prior order child support payable to the father or to the grandparents?
To the father.
Okay. All right. Was that order entered before she had her other children, or did it take into account her other children?
It was entered it was entered in 2016, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
She is married with other children at this point.
She has 2 other children, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, Your Honor, this is the only thing we don't agree on. Unless Mr. Trout has other items, I believe this was the only item outstanding as of our conversation yesterday.
Yes, that's correct.
And it's my understanding the child does not want to see her, Judge, but I would defer that to Ms. Zavala. That's just my understanding.
Okay, so Ms. Zavala, is the child willing to have visits with mom or not?
At this time, Alexi does not want contact with mom. Under the other order, it was 1 hour supervised by family support services. And it's my understanding that those visits never really were set up by mom. So she hadn't had visits in quite a while.
Okay, so, the pivotal question is, when we get involved in, a suit affecting, is our job done? Are we done with, reunifying the family? Essentially, have we done everything that we can do? Is the child safe? All of those things. Everybody knows that. And I think that it's unfortunate that the relinquishment was held for so long that mother didn't have any opportunity to, really work a service plan, or to work on therapeutic visits or any of those things that we often engage in when we're trying to repair a relationship between a child and a parent. So I'm not going to go so far as to accept mom's relinquishment, because I think that's very permanent in nature, obviously. But what I am going to do in the interest of fairness is I'm going to name the father as a sole managing conservator of the child. I'm going to leave mother as a possessory conservator, but I'm going to set her child support at $50 a month plus $50 a month medical support. I have no information about her income or her, I know she has two other children that are younger, so they're minors, obviously. So as far as to calculate support, I'm going to essentially put everybody back where we found them, other than whatever mom's prior child support order was. Parents can go negotiate that either through private attorneys or go back to the Attorney General's office to engage in those discussions about what is an appropriate child support, what would be appropriate as far as mom having visitation or, starting visitation. She may have a visitation order that's out there. So, Mr. Olivares, I'm just telling you, there's a court order, and if she's got the right to have visitation,
So can I ask a question on that?
You can ask me a question. I'm not going to give you legal advice.
No. I mean, so I understand that she could have visitation. Nobody's ever had a problem with that since it started to begin with. But is she at the age where if Lexi doesn't want to have that visitation, am I going to get in trouble over that? If Lexi does deny said visitation, if it does get brought upon?
I'll let your attorney answer that question.
We can talk about it afterwards, Alan. Just give me a call, okay?
All right.
And Your Honor, am I understanding correctly, we're reverting back to the previous visitation order that had 1 hour per month at Family Support Services?
If that's what it says, I don't know. I haven't seen it. So whatever it says, all I'm doing is I'm modifying the support, because I think in the interest of fairness here, I agree with Ms. Grant. I think mom was essentially, relying on the fact that she was relinquishing parental rights, and there was no reason for her to work services. I think to leave very much in play is I think it's patently unfair. So, but I'm going to order a very minimal amount, just because I don't know what her income is, and I do know that she has 2 other children, which would affect obviously the percentage. So even on a minimum wage basis, I understand I'm setting it quite low, but I think that's just whether parents then decide, they need to go deal with this in some other forum. But, that's not what we're here for.
And Your Honor, I was looking at this just in transparency, because I couldn't remember exactly how the emails fell on sending in the relinquishment. From what I can see on the emails I have, mom signed it on 11/30, as the verification says. I believe Ms. Grant sent it to the department on January 25th. So Ms. Grant held it for 2 months. And then she sent it to me on March 20th or 21st. And then
Your Honor,
so there's a couple of months there where we didn't have it.
that's incorrect, Your Honor. The 11/25 email is the second time it was submitted to the department after we went to court, and the caseworker indicated in court that she didn't have it. And so we sent it a second time.
Okay, it doesn't change. I mean, it doesn't change. I mean, mother executed that relinquishment back at the end of November. Generally speaking, when those are executed and then subsequently delivered to the department, I mean, and I think the parent has pretty good reason to rely on the fact that's what's going to happen in our cases. I mean, occasionally, this happens, but it seems like, well, are we or aren't we? It's come down to the very, very end here. So I'm going to let parents just to determine whether they need to go modify and do something further with respect to support and or visitation and or anything else. But I think our job is done, and I think it's time to dismiss the department out and all of the court-appointed attorneys out. And, we are returning the family to substantially where they were when we got involved, with a few minor adjustments that I think that's fair. So that'll be my order, and everybody will be dismissed, but with that modification. And then, counsel, you can talk to your clients about what they can or need to do. But at this point, that's not what this court is here to do. That's a Title 4D issue. Okay,
Judge, may we inquire if the child is still in therapy, just for my client's information before we're done?
Sure.
Yes, she is.
Okay, thank you.
And she's going to continue therapy like she's been doing since 4 or 5 years now.
Okay, so I'll check the previous order, Your Honor, to see if my client has the right to medical information so that if she chooses reunification, she can go through the child's therapist.
Sure. I suspect she does, and that's probably appropriate. And folks, I wish the best for all of you. It's great for children to have both parents in their lives, and whatever your differences are, I'd love to see you set those aside for the child's sake. And it would be wonderful if she's going to continue in therapy, if mom could ultimately be looped into that, if mom wants to be, and if the child is willing. But child's never going to get to that point unless the child has some encouragement along those lines. We all know that. So I wish you all the best, and I hope everybody will just keep Alexi's best interest at heart moving forward. Okay, get me in order. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Judge, you did say 50 medical and 50 child support, correct?
50 child support and 50 medical.
Fucking bitch, bro. Fucking.
Hey, Alan.
Mr. Oliveras, you are not muted. Okay, we will go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We are present and ready, Your Honor, if I need to make an oral motion before we get
Daniel,
started.
I can't hear you. Wait a minute. Hang on. Sorry.
Amy, did you hear me? Judge, and at the end of my announcement, I just said if I need to make an oral argument or an oral motion for what we talked about, I will.
That'd be fine.
Stacey Grant on behalf of Landon Turner, and I'm ready.
Natalie Archer for the mother, Vanessa Williams, and we are both present and ready.
Jeff Hill on behalf of Nick Langham. Judge, I'm here. He's not. I've never been able to locate him. I don't think CPS or St. Francis has either.
Judge Teresa Ratliff for alleged father Miles Watkins. I'm present. I've had no contact with my client either. I don't believe CPS has been able to locate him. I'm ready.
Gary Morales for respondent father Bryce Hines. Same announcement as the other two. I don't think the department's been able to hold him or get a hold of him according to the report, and neither have I.
Ryan Johnston, I'm appearing for Bailey Sapien, who represents Justin Edwards, and she also has not been able to contact Mr. Edwards, hasn't heard from him, and I don't believe that CPS has either.
Stacey Lucero on behalf of the unknown, you're fine. On behalf of the unknown father, Your Honor, I'm present, ready.
Stacey Zavala on behalf of Willow.
All right, thank y'all. Okay, Mr. Trout, if you want to make your motion.
Your Honor, the department today would ask for an extension on this case. A situation with the ICWA has come up, and we are trying to notify the tribes at this time to make sure that we have that cleared up before we move forward. It was a late notification on possible grandfather to the child having some Indian heritage or possibly registered members. So we are looking into that.
Okay, then because it is an ICWA issue, the court's going to find there are extraordinary circumstances that would support the extension in the case. So I will extend it. We will set a new dismissal date of March 29th of 2024. But we'll go ahead and conduct a review hearing today. All right, so what do we have new since the court report was filed?
In Your Honor, before we get started or before Ms. Novak speaks, I have my investigator from CPS for the final here, Mr. Flores. If he wants to stay in and hear what we're talking about, that's fine. But if he can be released, if he needs to go, we won't be holding the final today, so I won't need him today to testify.
All right, and if everybody will just be sure to check your chat, and I'll announce those at the conclusion of this, but if everybody wants to just make a note of those dates. Okay. All right, then, what do we have new?
No, sir. Mom has, the only thing that she's been doing is attending visits, but she has not participated or engaged in continuing services.
Has mom been drug screening for you at this time?
She did not appear to go. I requested for her to go last month and she did not go. And I have not sent her this month yet.
So the last drug screen was in July. I'm sorry.
July.
Okay.
It was
And
July
then-
27th. It was a UA and it was negative.
Okay. And were you asking for in August when you tried to send her, were you asking for a UA and hair at that time?
Yes, sir. I was going to.
And
Or I did. I submitted. Yes, sir. For both of them.
you said you were going to try to send her again this month or 1st of October. Is that correct?
I'd like to request for her to go today.
Okay. Are you asking for a UA and a hair follicle today?
Yes, sir.
Anything else that you need to notify the court on?
I spoke with mom last week and she did mention that she wanted to relinquish, but I don't know if she is still willing or if she still wants to, or she has spoken to her attorney about that.
And I believe it states in the report, mom has moved. Is that correct?
Yes, she is reported to have moved to Stinnett, Texas.
Have you been able to see the home, or have you been able to get anybody there to see the home?
I've not been to the home yet.
Do you know who she is living with?
I do not know his name, but she said it's her boyfriend.
Okay, so it's not somebody you've ever met before?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. And you said that mom is not currently participating in any services that she has not finished?
That is correct.
Thank you, Ms. Novak. I'll pass with you.
All right, Ms. Archer.
I don't have any questions. Did you want a general update?
Yeah.
Okay. The last time I spoke with Vanessa, she was contemplating relinquishing. She did have a question on whether it would be an open adoption situation. And so we were kind of waiting to hear back on that. Other than that, I just plan to stay in communications with her about that update and if her feelings have changed.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got lots of time now to send everybody to mediation.
That's what I was just going to say. Per the new standing orders, I think we can probably get to a mediation on this one, Your Honor.
All right. And you know, the downside is I know a whole slew of you have no client and no dog in the fight. And, you know, you're not going to be able to effectively mediate. But so for all of the alleged fathers and the unknown father, if you've still had no contact, you know, with your clients at that point in time, I won't require you to attend the mediation. I you know, would like certainly, of course, department and mother and the ad litem and you know, to actively participate, see what they can come up with. But obviously, it's not going to be binding on the rest of you. But it might resolve some things. So when they start scheduling mediation, if you still haven't found your clients, then, you know, just respond accordingly, and I won't require your attendance. In fact, why don't we just call it an informal settlement conference?
And Your Honor, I've been trying to get some answers from Ms. Archer. You know, kind of per our stance on, you know, we don't really get into in the middle of post-termination agreements and stuff from our side because we don't want to be tied into that. But we are trying to get Ms. Archer and her client some answers on that and where we don't head with that.
Let's do this. I'm going to order you all to do an informal settlement conference. Let's say before December 15th.
Okay.
Because if that results in anything, then, perhaps even we're going to have another review hearing in January, but that could even become, we know ahead of time, that could become a final. Let's say December, I'm sorry. Let's say December 1st. So you won't need a mediator. It's just an informal settlement conference. And I will not require the attendance of counsel that have absentee clients.
And Your Honor, at the end of today's hearing, if I could have a breakout room with Ms. Archer, I may have some information to get us started along those lines.
Okay. All right. Ms. Grant, if you do by any chance locate the correct Landon Turner, if you would let us know if he's going to want genetic testing. I suspect so. But so we could get that going right away.
Absolutely, Judge. The only other question that might help me is there is one I've located who has a nickname and goes by the nickname Bam Bam. And I just was wondering if that rings a bell.
Not that I can think of.
Okay. Thank you. I've got 4 that spell it with EN, and there's one from each local high school: Caprock, Paladura, Amarillo High, and Randall. So I'm trying to locate them. They've all graduated, so I'll keep looking, Judge.
Okay, great. Okay, then, Ms. Sabala.
Your Honor, Willow is doing great. Got to see her in person. And my one concern was just over the course of this case, mom's hair follicle numbers have gone down and then back up. And then I was concerned that there was no drug testing in August, just because of the nature of the physical contact and possible meth use. I would ask that mom participate in drug testing before the visits continue. As long as the UA is negative, I've got no concern about that continuing.
All right, thank you. All right, well, as stated earlier, I'm going to extend the case. We'll set the new dismissal date, March 29th of 2024. I am going to order Ms. Williams to drug test today, hair and UA, and I'm going to suspend her visitation until those drug tests return. The drug test results return. If the UA is negative and she does not relinquish rights or some other arrangements made, then the visits can resume. I'll order you all to the informal settlement conference before December 1st of 2023. Counsel with absentee clients are not required to attend that. And I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the child's current placement. Sign the orders extending the case and sign a review order. All right, next review hearing will be January 23rd of 2024. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. If we have things worked out at that informal settlement with mom, y'all let me know. We could change that to a final. That would give us enough time to give notice. That would give us 45 days. So that's why I moved the settlement conference date back to December 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
And then right now, our final will be scheduled for March 26th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket.
Judge, may I ask if my client has transportation to get to that drug test today?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Judge,
You're
I'm sorry.
welcome.
I thought I've heard 2 different dates for the final. I've heard March 26th and March 29th. Which are we doing?
March 26th is a final. The dismissal date is March 29th.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Your Honor, one of my Landon Turners is from Amarillo. He does now reside in Austin. So I just want to let everyone know I'm getting closer on him. So I want to be sure I was included in any email strings regarding settlement conferences.
Okay. Yeah. I want everybody in the chain, and then if you still don't know where your person is, just let everybody know that so that they'll know not to expect you, for that conference. But
yes, ma'am. I'll be sure to send it out to everybody when I get it set.
Okay.
Thanks, Daniel.
Okay. So Ms. Grant, if you are able to locate him and he wants genetic testing, let Mr. Trout know right away so we can get that ordered and get moving on it.
Will do, Judge. My secretary's been able to already identify an employer while we were here. So we're getting close. So I'll keep everyone updated.
The wonders of the internet. All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. And you all have a good rest of your day.
Could you